What you're about to see isn't just rare photos. Each shot has a mind-blowing story that few people know about. Take this photo, for example.
That's Ingrid Pitt, likely in a publicity shot for the high-octane W2 flick Where Eagles Dare from '68. She played the undercover agent Heidi alongside heavy hitters like Clint Eastwood and Richard Burton. Pitt became a bit of a queen in British action and horror films around this time, known for bringing glamour to some tough roles. Two absolute global icons, Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson, shooting hoops for Jackson's Jam music video back in '92. Directed by John Singleton, the video featured the two megastars teaching each other their signature moves. Jordan showing Jackson basketball, Jackson teaching Jordan the moonwalk. Getting your Model A serviced back around 1927 looked something like this. Forget computerized diagnostics. These mechanics relied on know-how and muscle, using early hydraulic lifts like this one. That Lube Seal sign points to specialized lubrication services popping up as cars became more common and complex. You're looking at history being made here. Doug Engelbart giving his famous Mother of All Demos in San Francisco, December 1968. For the first time publicly, he demonstrated the computer mouse, graphical user interfaces, hypertext, and video conferencing, essentially inventing modern personal computing elements right there. Life in a World War I trench for Scottish Highlanders meant enduring more than just enemy attacks. Constant exposure to mud, cold, and diseases like trench foot was a brutal reality, sometimes made worse by their traditional wool kilts in the wet conditions. Despite the hardships and the seemingly impractical battle dress for the environment, the kilt remained a powerful symbol of their identity on the Western Front. Getting your 5 a day on the go, 1929 style, at Paddington Station in London. This early vending machine offered fresh fruit like apples and pears alongside chocolates. Pretty advanced for the time, offering a healthier option from a coin-op machine when most probably just dispensed smokes or sweets. That's future President Ronald Reagan, second from left, with fellow actors Virginia Mayo, Eddie Bracken, and Donna Drake for the 1949 comedy The Girl from Jones Beach. Reagan was still a busy Hollywood actor at this point, years away from entering politics full-time. Just a fun shot capturing him during his earlier movie career. Engineer Karen Ledley tackles a complex problem on an analog computer at General Dynamics Space Division back in '64. Programming these early machines required physically wiring up connections, like the intense patch cord setup she's handling here. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. watches President Lyndon B. Johnson on television, likely during a key moment for the civil rights movement. This photo captures a rare private glimpse of King reacting to unfolding historical events, possibly an LBJ speech about voting rights or civil rights legislation from his own living room. A young River Phoenix with his brother Joaquin just hanging out at home in the kitchen, likely sometime in the mid to late '80s, captures a simple domestic moment between the two brothers before River's tragic death and Joaquin's later massive stardom. Sybil Shepherd looking very much of the moment in this shot from around 1976. This was right after she starred alongside De Niro in Scorsese's intense film Taxi Driver. She was navigating that transition from her earlier, lighter roles into more serious acting territory during this period. That's Rita Hayworth in 1941, the same year Life magazine ran her famous pinup photo that became iconic for soldiers during World War II. She was right on the cusp of superstardom, known for her incredible dancing and smoldering looks that earned her the nickname Hollywood's Love Goddess. Look at these folks bravely crossing the original Capilano suspension bridge near Vancouver back in 1905. Made of hemp rope and cedar planks back then, it swayed quite a bit over the deep canyon below. Quite an adventure for these well-dressed visitors taking in the rugged scenery. John Lennon and Yoko Ono took their peace activism straight to the public with billboards like this one in Times Square for Christmas 1969. Part of a global campaign hitting multiple cities, the simple message, "War is over. If you want it," aimed straight at ending the Vietnam War through collective will. It was a bold, costly move, turning advertising space into a direct plea for peace during a deeply divisive time. A young Stephen Hawking with his first wife, Jane Wilde, likely photographed around the time they married in 1965. This was shortly after Hawking's diagnosis with ALS, when doctors initially gave him only a few years to live, making this image a snapshot of hope and determination early in their life together. The one and only Betty Page, rocking her signature bangs and playful attitude in this classic 1950s pinup shot. Page became a huge underground sensation, known for pushing boundaries with her photos. Her distinctive look and daring style made her an enduring cult figure long after she stepped away from modeling. Italian superstar Sophia Loren gets fitted for a gown, likely in the late 50s or early 60s when she was at the height of her international fame. She embodied that classic European glamour that captivated audiences worldwide, wide, requiring meticulous behind-the-scenes work like this fitting. Hard to recognize him without the suit and glasses, but that's a young Stephen Colbert around 1984, probably during his college days at Northwestern University. This was way before The Daily Show or The Colbert Report, when he was likely honing his comedy chops in improv groups there. This striking portrait from 1912 shows a Tlingit couple, Sitka Jack Katquaxnia and his wife, photographed by Louis Shotridge, himself a Tlingit nobleman. They're wearing elaborate traditional regalia from southeast Alaska, representing their clan status and cultural heritage. Dining on the rails back around 1940 looked pretty classy. White tablecloths, proper silverware, attentive service. Train travel was still a primary way to go long distances, and dining cars like this offered a touch of elegance during the journey. That reddish fish is hanako, a Japanese koi who became famous for supposedly living an incredibly long life. People claimed she lived for 226 years, from the 1750s clear until 1977, based on counting growth rings on her scales. While fish experts doubt that extreme age, hanako definitely lived a long time and became a symbol of longevity. Riding the New York subway back in '63 looked a bit different. Check out the sea of hats and newspapers. Before smartphones, grabbing the morning or evening paper was the routine for commuters catching up on news. The suits, the hats, the serious reading, it captures that specific mid-century vibe of city life and the daily grind. There's Paul McCartney, likely sometime in the '70s after the Beatles breakup. Maybe during his Wings era. He didn't just sit back, he formed Wings and kept churning out hits like Live and Let Die and Band on the Run. McCartney proved he was way more than just one part of the Fab Four, forging his own massive solo career. Boxes upon boxes of the Salk polio vaccine stamped Rush, likely being shipped out in the mid-1950s. After years of terrifying polio outbreaks crippling thousands, the development of this vaccine felt like a miracle. Getting it distributed quickly across the country was a massive public health effort to finally stop the spread of the dreaded disease. High school graduates in the Soviet Union, 1989, rocking those distinct hairstyles and the traditional school uniforms with white aprons. This was likely taken around their last bell ceremony, marking the end of school. Captures a moment right at the very end of the Soviet era, just before everything changed dramatically. Marilyn Monroe shares a laugh with comedy legend Groucho Marx on the set of the Marx Brothers film Love Happy, released in 1949. Monroe had only a small role as Groucho's client, but it was one of her early screen appearances. Shows her vibrant energy even before she became a global superstar. Kabul, Afghanistan, captured by photographer Francois Lochon in 1979, right on the brink of huge upheaval. People are out shopping, life seems relatively normal on the surface, but the Soviet invasion was just months away. This photo catches the final moments of that specific era before everything changed drastically. Hollywood heavyweight Kirk Douglas enjoying a boat ride through Venice in 1953. He was in town for the Venice Film Festival, where his movie The Bad and the Beautiful was being shown, captures that classic movie star glamour against the backdrop of the iconic Italian city. President Ronald Reagan stands alongside Emperor Hirohito during a state visit to Tokyo in November 1983. Standing with First Lady Nancy Reagan, this visit aimed to strengthen U.S.-Japan relations during the Cold War. Moments like this formal ceremony were key displays of diplomacy between the two powerful allies. Linda Carter looking glamorous here around 1977, likely near the height of her Wonder Woman TV fame. While best known for that iconic superhero role, she was also pursuing a singing career and making other appearances during this time. This shot captures her off-duty star power beyond the invisible jet and lasso. That's Hall of Fame pitcher Rapid Robert Feller winding up with his famous high leg kick for the Cleveland Indians. Known for having one of the fastest fastballs ever, Feller dominated hitters in the late 30s and 40s. His career was interrupted by nearly 4 years of Navy service during Wadiwanitu, making his accomplishments even more impressive. Goldie Hawn covered in body paint for a bit on the groundbreaking comedy show Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In back in '68. Known for her giggly persona and bikini appearances on the show, this painted look was just part of the fast-paced, slightly insane humor that made Laugh-In a massive hit. It helped launch her career from dancer to comedy star. That's Christina Applegate as the iconic Kelly Bundy from the long-running sitcom Married with Children. Kelly was the stereotypical dumb blonde daughter, known for her revealing outfits and clueless comments. Applegate played that role perfectly, becoming a huge TV star in the late 80s and 90s thanks to the show's edgy humor. Check out the sleek, streamlined design of the New York Central Railroad's Mercury train, pictured here in Chicago, 1936. Designed by Henry Dreyfuss, it was a prime example of Art Deco style applied to transportation, meant to look fast and modern, even standing still. It represented a push towards more stylish and comfortable passenger rail travel. Jackie Kennedy looking elegant yet composed amidst amidst the chaos of a public event, likely during the 1960 presidential campaign. She brought a unique sense of style and grace to the campaign trail that captivated the public. Her fashion choices and poise became almost as discussed as the political issues. Talk about nerve? That's cowboy performer Monty Montana asking President Eisenhower if he can rope him during Ike's own inaugural parade in '53. Eisenhower actually played along, stood up in the reviewing stand, and Montana managed to loop the rope around his shoulders from 15 feet out. A wild, unscripted moment mixing Hollywood showmanship with presidential formality right there on Pennsylvania Avenue. This wasn't just a paint job. The White House was completely gutted down to its exterior walls between 1948 and 1952 under President Truman. The whole interior structure was found to be dangerously unstable, so they basically built a new steel frame inside the historic shell, a massive urgent project hidden from public view for years. Amidst the brutal street fighting during the Battle of Hue in Vietnam 1968, this Marine takes a moment to care for a small puppy tucked inside his helmet. It's a striking contrast, the soldier finding a bit of warmth and connection right in the middle of intense urban warfare, a reminder of the humanity found even in the toughest spots. Check out the original look of McDonald's back in the 50s with those huge golden arches piercing the roof and the Speedy Service System sign. This design, created by architect Stanley Meston, was meant to be eye-catching and efficient for the new drive-in culture. Long before indoor seating became standard, this was the fast food future. Natalie Wood gets some final touches from the makeup and hair crew while filming This Property is Condemned in 1966. Directed by Sidney Pollack and co-starring Robert Redford, the film was a steamy Southern drama. This shot captures Wood in the midst of the movie-making process, surrounded by the team getting her ready for the camera. Here's a glimpse of Julia Louis-Dreyfus, left, as a youngster back in the early 70s, posing with her mother Judith and half-sister Lauren Bowles. This is long before she became Elaine Beans on Seinfeld, or Selena Meyer on Veep. Just a family snapshot from years before her comedy career took off. Believe it or not, the luxurious RMS Titanic actually had a state-of-the-art gymnasium for first-class passengers back in 1912. It featured fancy equipment like this electric horse, rowing machines, and cycling machines. Quite novel for a ship then. Another detail highlighting the incredible amenities aboard the liner before its tragic end. That's Loomis Dean, a versatile staff photographer for Life magazine for many years. He covered everything from Hollywood stars and high society to quirky events and scientific breakthroughs. Dean had a knack for capturing telling moments with a sharp eye and often a bit of humor. John Lennon took his son Julian to visit the set of the hit TV show Happy Days back in 1974. This was during Lennon's lost weekend separation from Yoko Ono, and he was hanging out in Los Angeles. Pretty cool for Julian to meet the Fonz and the gang, getting a taste of classic American TV while visiting his dad. Susan Day looking fresh-faced here around 1970, right when she became America's sweetheart playing Lori Partridge on The Partridge Family. That show about the musical family was huge, launching Day and David Cassidy